Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Vanshika Gupta Adukia, prenatal postnatal fitness expert, pregnancy, childbirth, and lactation specialist, a pelvic floor physiotherapist, and the founder of Therapy. Today I'm here with Mylo to answer and understand all your questions regarding breastfeeding and a very important aspect of breastfeeding, which is latching on correctly. Now, not many of us understand what is the meaning of latching on. Latching on basically describes the way in which the baby holds onto your nipple to be able to comfortably feed. It's a very important aspect about breastfeeding, which is, left to neglect. We don't discuss it very often, and we don't realize most of the complications or even the small time troubles that we face while breastfeeding come into the picture only because your latch is a problem. Yeah. So let's start off with trying to understand what a latch is. Okay. So for this today, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using certain props to make the entire process a little easier for you. So I'm going to demonstrate it for you. And hopefully this will help you understanding how to latch your baby onto your breast much easier. Yeah. So for this, what I have with me today is a breast model, and this is going to be our dummy baby for today. Okay. Now, always remember, whenever you're trying to latch your baby onto your breast, let the baby at least come towards your body and feel it. Even the baby needs to be able to feel calm enough to be able to understand what's happening around. Okay, that's the number one thing that you need to keep in mind. Number two is all about latching. So how are we going to latch the baby on? Now imagine this is my baby. Okay. Now this is the breast. Always not what I want. What I want is I want the baby to take at least two-thirds of the lower areola. What is the areola? Let's talk. I would want the baby to take the lower portion of the areola along with the nipple. This is the nipple in the baby's mouth. Yeah. So for this, what are we going to do? We are going to take our baby and we're going to take our baby. Okay. Always make sure that the baby opens his or her mouth wide. Okay. After that, this is how you will latch the baby on. Can you see? Let me place it this way. This is how you will latch the baby on. So, for example, if this doll were to be on me, if this doll was the baby for today, okay, now this is the doll, and if this is where my breast is, I will pick the baby up and I will latch the baby onto me this way. So can you see what's happening in this process? The baby's nose is absolutely free. The baby can breathe freely. I don't think you can see. Can you see? Now you can see. The baby's chin is actually tucked into the breast below. Yeah. And the baby is taking the lower portion of the areola and the nipple in the baby's mouth. So if I have to show it with our dummy baby over here, the soft toy over here, this is how it would look. And can you see what I have done? I'm holding the breast in a V position. I have taken my two finger position. It gives me a lot more control. So always hold your breast in a V position. You will be able to guide your breast. So this is how the baby will hold on. See, the lower portion of the areola, maximum lower portion of the areola first goes into the baby's mouth and the baby latches. So the baby's nose is free. The baby's chin, see the baby's chin. Can you see the baby's chin over here? This is the baby's chin. The baby's chin is touching your breast and the baby's mouth is wide and the baby has taken to the nipple. Some of the other things that you can do to ensure that your latch is correct. Always aim the baby's nose to your nipple. This is what I will do. So the minute I do this, can you see how the baby's mouth is immediately going to the lower portion of the areola? Just look at this. The minute I do this, see the baby's mouth is going to the lower portion of the areola, and then I can just use my fingers to guide the nipple into the baby's mouth. Okay, so keep this in mind. Now, another trick to try and make sure baby is turning onto you correctly is that always make sure the baby's tummy is facing the mother's tummy. So turn the baby towards you, and it becomes easier for me to immediately latch the baby on. So see, I'm holding this way and I can put the baby on this way. Okay. So a correct latch is very, very important because it ensures that adequate milk transfer is happening to the baby, or that the baby is getting adequate milk. If the baby is only going to be on the nipple, and if the baby is only going to try to suckle from the nipple, the baby is not going to get enough milk. And this would then lead to further issues where people say that, I feed for half an hour, I'm feeding for 30 minutes. Sometimes I'm sitting for 45 minutes and feeding, but, the baby is not content. The baby keeps asking for milk again and again. Every half an hour, the baby is asking for milk. Check your latch. Is your baby getting a good lower portion of your areola and your breast in the baby's mouth, or is the baby only feeding at your nipple? Okay. Other than this, always keep in mind another check method for you. Make sure that the baby's lips are flanged. What does it mean for the baby's lips to be flanged? Can you see this doll over here has the lips curled outwards? Okay. So the lips should not be puckered like this. This is wrong. Okay. They need to be turned outwards. And then the baby needs to go onto your breast so that the mouth is wide open. Okay. Now, what could be some of the signs that your latch is an incorrect latch or is not the best latch or a good latch? First and foremost is discomfort. Always remember, breastfeeding is not supposed to be painful. If you've recently delivered, if it's just been about a week, 10 days, or even up to 2 weeks, and you're feeling a little bit of discomfort or mild soreness, tingling while breastfeeding in your breast, that can still be considered all right because your body is getting used to the progesterone levels that are gradually increasing in your body. So that is why that pain is there. But if it has been some time since you've been feeding, you have immense pain in your breast, you think that you have excessively sore nipples, if the idea of breastfeeding is very painful and you don't want to do it, and you think that it's best left rather than continued, I would urge you to please check if or not your latch is correct. Yeah. Secondly, if at all you are realizing that the baby is not, following this pattern of suckle, suckle, pause, and swallow. The baby is only suckling, but there's no pause and there's no swallow. So then, how is the baby drinking milk? The baby is not drinking milk. This is just comfort feeding that's happening. So again, check for your latch. Very often parents complain, new mothers complain that, I latch the baby onto me, and the baby suckles for some time, but then the baby leaves the breast and the baby cries a lot. Or jab main, formula is offered to the child, the baby has formula from the bottle. So what could the reason be? Again, in such a situation, it could be your latch. Probably you're not latching the baby onto you correctly, so the baby is not getting a larger portion of the areola and the breast in the mouth, because of which when the baby is suckling, the baby is not getting any milk. So in frustration, the baby is leaving the nipple. Yeah. So these are some of the things you need to keep in mind about a good latch. Other than this, I would also like to discuss at this point of time that, situations which are commonly known as breastfeeding complications in mother, like, your sore nipples or your mastitis, which is basically an infection of the breast, or cracked nipples. These situations, at least in their initial stages, start off because of an incorrect latch. Okay. So a latch holds a very, very big role in a lot of things. Apart from your baby's food satisfaction levels, milk transfer to the baby, it also looks after your body and how your body reacts to the baby wanting to feed on your body. So even for your own betterment, it's very important that you look after your latch. Yeah. All right. So we had a lot of people who actually have sent us a lot of questions. We've got a huge list of questions that have come in, and thank you so much for that. I'll be more than happy to answer them. But please keep in mind questions that are repetitive. I think I will bring forth to you that I have already answered this previously. And eventually, when the stream goes live on the Mylo YouTube page, you could always look at referring to the video again to check if your question has been answered via some other question that was asked earlier. Yeah. So the first question for today has been asked to us by Akanksha. Her Baby is 5 months old, okay? And the first question that she has is, okay, this is a little different from breastfeeding, but what she says is that my baby is 5 months old, and what should I introduce to her now? So, Akanksha, what I want to tell you at this point of time is that firstly, your baby is 5 months old. You need to see what are the milestones that your baby has covered. What we always say as lactation specialists and baby specialists, pregnancy specialists, is that the first 6 months of life should be exclusive breastfeeding as far as possible. But keep in mind, if you have a baby who is faster in their milestones, which means can sit upright for a couple of seconds by themselves, then you could look at starting certain types of solids. Even then, please get in touch with your pediatrician to get a go ahead for the same. Yeah, so this would be my answer to you. First, check, is your baby capable of sitting by herself? Does she show interest in food? Does she use her hands to kind of try and put things in her mouth? Does food engage her? Does food interest her? Then decide whether or not we should look at introducing something to the child. All right, so currently I'm not going to give you any tip on what you should be giving the child. My tip to you for today is that look at first picking up the milestone signs to realize whether or not your baby is ready to start off with any solid food. Okay. The next question is by Vini Sharma. She also has a 5 month old baby. She says, I have a 5 month old baby and I'm pregnant. So, can I continue breastfeeding at this time? So, Vini, this is something which actually depends on your own comfort and what your nutrition is looking like, what your general body health is looking like. That is how you will be able to take the decision. So, under normal circumstances, mothers who come to me, what I tell them is that if you're comfortable, if you're looking after your nutritional needs and values with good food, your ideal supplements, and you yourself will not go into this entire thought process of, if I am breastfeeding the baby, something could go wrong with the baby that's growing within me, you can actually think of continuing with breastfeeding your older one while you're pregnant as well. Yeah, so eat nutritious, look after your water intake very well, and if you're keeping absolutely healthy, your reports are healthy, you are nutritionally in a fit position, eat nutritious, and you can look at continuing with breastfeeding your older one. Okay. Sunita has a 3 month old baby and she says, my baby is not gaining weight. What can I do? My baby is only breastfed. Sunita, my question to you is, please also check whether your baby is having adequate pee and poo counts. A 3 month old baby, if the 3 month old baby is giving you roughly, let's say 10 to 12 diapers in a day, both of pee and poo, that means wet diaper and stool diaper, then that's one sign that the baby is still doing okay with breast milk. All right. Other than this, yes, weight is an important aspect, but what does your pediatrician have to say about the baby's growth and circumference diameters in comparison to other 3 month old babies? That would also help give you an indication whether or not your baby is getting breast milk adequately. Yeah, so don't always chase after the weight. Sometimes some children have comparatively lower weight, but they may still be meeting their necessary milestones. So if you're even meeting your milestones, if you have enough P and poo counts, then I think try and have a word with your pediatrician to see if that genuinely is a problem. Otherwise, I would say if you're borderline, don't worry about the weight. Okay. Okay, Arun Kumar has sent us a question that my baby is breastfed and she poops very often. What should I do? So, Arun Kumar, my answer to you would be, actually a lot of breastfed babies do tend to poop little regularly. So, if your baby shows no signs of discomfort, is keeping comfortable, is keeping happy, is going about milestones regularly, because I see your baby is a 5 month old baby, don't be worried about this. On the hindsight, since we're talking about breastfeeding and baby poop, I would also like to bring to the attention of especially newborns that very often newborn children who are breastfed may not even land up passing stool for about 10 days. This happens and this is normal. So don't worry about it. Okay. And sometimes children who are breastfed also tend to have comparatively loose stool. So this also is not something to be worried about. You need to pick up signs in your child. Is this something which is normal for my child, which is going on over a routine, and my baby is keeping comfortable, my baby is not cranky, my baby is not ill, my baby is eating well, then you should let go of these and you shouldn't look at these as a problem. Okay. Kittu Ahuja has an 11-month-old baby and she says, can I breastfeed and exercise? Yes, of course you can breastfeed and exercise. Please don't live in this myth that if you're breastfeeding your baby, you cannot exercise, because that's the biggest lie. If you're comfortable, if you're healthy, if you're feeling up to it, you can exercise. The only thing you could probably look at doing is don't exercise when you feel that your breasts are full of milk. So feed the baby or express your milk and then look at exercising. Yeah. Ashima has a 2-month-old baby and she says, my breast milk supply is less. How can I increase it? Ashima, you've put up a great question. I get this very often. And my only answer to this is always remember your breast milk production and breast milk supply depends on just one principle, which is demand and supply. So, what do I mean by this? The more you will latch your baby onto your breast, the more your baby will stimulate at your nipple to try and suckle, the more will there be hormonal release in your body. Your brain will pick up that hormonal release and the milk supply will increase. So, your only way to ensure that you increase your breast milk is to try and feed your baby more. Try avoiding giving formula. Just look at latching the baby onto you, stimulating, and feeding the baby. If you think it's an initial phase and your breast milk supply is comparatively pretty low, so you need to top up with formula, never mind, go ahead, give the formula. But before giving the formula, spend some time with the baby on your nipple, trying to stimulate you so that that entire reaction causes you to increase your breast milk supply. Okay. Manisha has a 2-month-old, and her question to me is, how do I know if my baby's tummy is full or not? Okay, so Manisha, first and foremost, I think you need to look out when you're breastfeeding. Try and ensure that your baby is following the pattern of suckle, pause, and swallow. This will guarantee us that the baby is actually drinking milk and not just comfort feeding or not just nibbling on your breast. Okay. Number two, weight gain. How's the weight gain of your baby? If your baby is adequately gaining weight at regular intervals, that means your baby is getting enough food. Okay. Number three, you have to look out for the pee and poo counts of the baby. So at 2 months, if your baby is giving you approximately 8 to 10 or 8 to 12 pee and poo filled diapers in a day, that means your baby is getting adequate milk. Is your baby being alert? Is your baby playful? Is your baby cranky? These signs as well from the baby. Does the baby tend to fist a lot? What is fisting? Making a fist and taking the fist in the mouth and suckling on it again and again. Does your baby root a lot? These signs would help you in picking up hunger cues. Okay, so is your baby hungry? These signs would help in understanding if the baby is hungry. Okay. Dipali has a 4-month-old baby and she says that my 4-month-old weighs only 3 kgs. My breast milk supply is less and I have my periods at a 25-day gap. What should I do? Dipali, I think you should, I've answered this. I think you should look at, the previous answer that I have given to check whether baby's tummy is full or not, and the baby is not gaining weight. Here I have told you for signs to pick up about whether or not the baby is getting enough milk. Yeah, so make sure that you look after these signs. Apart from this, to increase your breast milk, you will latch the baby onto you more often to stimulate your breast and brain to be able to produce more milk. And at this point of time, I would like to tell everybody who's watching this feed, always feed the baby completely from one side, because our breast milk is made up of foremilk and hind milk. Foremilk is the milk which comes in the beginning of the feed, which is full of water, and hind milk is what comes towards the end of the feed, which is full of fat and cream. So if you're going to do timed feeds, 10 minutes on one side, 10 minutes on the other side, you're only feeding your baby for milk, because of which the baby is getting partial fat but maximum water. So the baby will get hungrier faster, will not increase the weight as we would ideally want the baby to increase the weight. So look at feeding from both sides, but always let one side of the breast completely empty out on milk and then change to the other side if the baby still asks for milk. Okay, so please check if you are doing the same. Sheetal says that can we start semi-solid after 3.5 months, like dal ka pani or rice? Sheetal, 3 months is way too small. 3.5 months, I'm sorry, that's way too small. This would not be a time when you would be looking at starting any kind of semi-solids. You would wait, like I said right in the beginning of the video, to pick up some signs from the baby to see whether the baby is ready for semi-solids, and this would not happen before about 5 months. So please don't look at introducing anything semi-solid to the baby, in my opinion. Bhavna says, what are the precautions I should take while breastfeeding and how to increase milk? Bhavna, I've already answered how you can look at increasing breast milk, but the precautions that you can take in while breastfeeding, well, you need to take no precaution. There is no proof that says anything that you have eaten gets transferred to the baby. So if you're having chola, you're having spicy, you're having otherwise gassy food, your baby will get gas. Medically, we have no proof for it. The only thing we have proof for is if you have cow milk protein, and if your baby is allergic to cow milk protein, then there could be a problem. But there are tests available for this, and this happens to only 1 in like 10,000 children. So even this is something which is a one-off. If you're a non-vegetarian who has fish and has fish which is high in mercury, you should look at avoiding those because that can get transferred in breast milk. And if you're somebody who has alcohol, if you're having alcohol, you need to wait for at least 4 hours before giving the next feed. The concept of expressing milk after having alcohol and dumping that milk is not true. So pumping and dumping is not true. The only thing that will help you with getting rid of the alcohol from your bloodstream is time. And if you don't wait, and if you feed the baby, or if you pump and you think that now I'll be able to feed the baby because I have pumped and the alcohol is out of my system, that's wrong. Okay, so either you pump and keep the milk before you've decided to take an intake of alcohol, or you wait for at least 4.5 hours to let that alcohol out of your system and then feed the baby. Okay, the next question is by Madhu, who has a newborn. She says, after delivery, when does breast milk start coming? I have a C-sec and breast milk is not producing. What should I do? Shall I start with any formula? Okay, Madhu, at this point of time, I would actually like to highlight to you and all the other mothers, when we are pregnant, our body is actually capable of producing breast milk at as early as 16 weeks of pregnancy. Okay, the only reason why sometimes after a C-section, breast milk takes time to come in is because a C-section has not had you go through the hormonal changes that you go through for a normal delivery. So your hormones are not letting that letdown effect, because of which the breastfeeding hasn't been initiated. My tip to you would be, again, latch the baby onto you, let the baby suckle on your breast to cause a stimulation to get to your brain, which will then help in releasing the hormones and the letdown effect. So even if you decide to give your baby formula right now, I will not encourage it, but if you need to and you decide to give it, please make sure you put your baby to your breast to initiate the same. Okay. Okay. The next question that I have is, my breast milk is, this is by Sadhvi, okay? She's got an 11-day-old baby. She says, my breast milk is not coming, so I started, okay, my breasts are too heavy and my baby doesn't latch properly. Sadhvi, I've covered how you ensure whether the baby latches on correctly or not. You are using a nipple shield from what I see, but that's not helping you much. And you feel that the baby suckles on your nipple. Okay, so Sadhvi, are you making sure that more portion of your lower areola and part of your breast is going into the baby's mouth, or is the baby only trying to suckle on your nipple? So please go back to my earlier thing in our session today where I explained about the latch, and follow that stepwise, and I think it should be able to help you further. Okay. Rajni says that my baby falls asleep immediately at the breast. Well, Rajni, you have a newborn. Congratulations for that. But this is something which tends to happen with newborns. So don't be worried. Try and wake your baby up and then continue feeding the baby. Okay. Shruti has a 22-day-old baby and she says, my baby makes noises and feels difficulty in feeding. How long will it take for the baby to latch properly? Shruti, babies latch properly immediately. All right. My question to you is, what kind of noises is your baby making? Is your baby making clicking noises? Is your baby making suckling noises? What is it that's happening? Look for signs of the correct latch. Correct your latch if need be, and I think you would be good to go. Neha has a 9-day-old baby and she says that both sides of my breasts are unequal And I'm not sure if the baby is latching on properly, how to make the baby suck properly, and how can I balance the size. Neha, this is something which is very normal. Most women have different size of breast on either side. Did you know that? One side can be smaller than the other. And please remember, size has nothing to do with your milk supply, okay? Because our breasts have certain cells that produce milk, which are independent of the breast size. So it doesn't mean that if one side is smaller, the other side will have more milk and the smaller side will have less milk. Nor does it mean that somebody with a smaller breast size and cup size will produce less milk and somebody with a bigger one will produce more milk. These are myths. Apart from this, I've spoken about the latching signs, so look out for those and work on correcting your signs, and I think you'll be good to go. All right. I have somebody else now who has, I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name correct, but it's Umruman, who has 26-day-old baby and says that she had a C-section and her baby feeds for about 45 minutes but still feels hungry and starts crying. What can I do about this? Well, 45 minutes is a good time for a feed. Please check whether your latch is proper and whether there is milk transfer happening or not. Look for the signs to see, your poo and pee signs, the baby's weight, the baby's activity levels, milestones, and this would tell whether the baby is getting enough milk. Is the baby crying because of being hungry, or is the baby crying for other reasons? More often than not, contrary to what our Indian system says, crying is not a sign of hunger. Crying is actually more of a sign of discomfort. So crying comes as the last resort when the baby is not just hungry, but the baby is hangry, which is hungry and angry both. Okay, so I think you should look at seeing whether the baby is comfortable or not, and then see what the issue is. Okay, Garima says that my baby takes a feed. My baby is 1 month old, and my baby takes a feed for 5 to 7 minutes and then goes to sleep. Is he feeding properly? And after every 15 minutes, I wake him up and feed again. Garima, again, go over the milk transfer signs to check whether your baby is getting adequate milk or not. Check your latch, and if all that is in place, I would urge you, if the baby falls asleep, wake up the baby immediately and try continuing with your feed. Don't offer the breast to the baby every 15 minutes, because we want to feed the baby not on a schedule, but by the baby's demand. What also tends to happen is, if we keep feeding the baby every 15 minutes, babies lose their ability to realize if they're hungry or not. Okay. And later on, this can become issue of picking up hunger cues in children, and as toddlers they then go on to have feeding issues as well, because they become picky eaters. All right, so don't feed the child every 15 minutes, but when the baby is feeding onto you and falling asleep, immediately wake up the child to continue with the feed, and check if your baby is getting enough milk through the pointers that I have mentioned earlier in the video. Okay, Dikha says she's a 2-month old baby. My baby is completely on formula milk as I have flat nipples and the baby can't latch. What can I do about this? Diksha, what I want to show you is, I'm going to show you my breast model. A lot of people don't know what a flat nipple looks like. This is a normally protruded out nipple. Okay, so the nipple is protruding out. What an inverted or a flat nipple looks like is this. Can you see? You've lost the nipple, right? So this is a normal nipple and this is an inverted nipple. So for people who have an inverted nipple, what we normally suggest is, before your delivery, but in your case, since you've delivered, you can look at going ahead with some nipple massage to try and stimulate and lift up your nipple. Apart from this, you also get nipple shields. It is possible to feed your baby even with a flat nipple. So you get breastfeeding nipple shields. You could look at wearing that nipple shield and then feeding your baby. That's also an option. And if you feel that this is also something which is not working out, then my suggestion to you would be that you can express your breast milk, get a good breast pump, express your breast milk, and look at giving your baby expressed milk. Yeah. So it's not always necessary that we need to have the baby onto the breast to be able to breastfeed the baby with breast milk. There are certain situations where we can express milk and even feed the baby. But even then, I feel that in your situation, you should look at opting for a breast massage and a nipple massage, and also using a nipple shield to help ease your process. Okay, I'm so sorry. We have so many questions that have come in, so many that are still coming in, but I'm really running short on time. And unfortunately, we would not be able to answer all your questions that have come in today. Hopefully, we'll be able to do another session again where I can answer all your questions, because I know breastfeeding is a very, very important topic with everybody having a lot to ask and a lot to discuss. But hopefully, we'll be able to come back with a part two for the same. Yeah. Now, apart from this, before leaving, I would want to urge everybody who watches this video. I know we're in a time of COVID-19. Everybody is at home. Anxiety levels are high, and there's a lot which is going on everybody's mind. But even then, try and stay positive. Try and stay as happy as you can. Spend a lot of time with your babies. If you're pregnant, spend this time with your partner, because we've never got a chance to have this kind of time with our partners. And keep very, very safe. Please practice social distancing. Please do the needful, and avoid letting any outsiders into your home. Yeah, with this, I'm going to sign off with you for today. I hope you liked our session, which has happened on the Mylo app, and the video would be available on Mylo's YouTube page. And please do get in touch with us for any questions that you may have further, and I would be happy to answer them for you through Mylo. This is Dr. Vanshika Gupta Adukia signing off with you for today. Thank you for watching.